This is a big one, everybody, because like I said, we need somebody for Michael D. Benedetto Plummer to play. Let's find out and take a look at the players and their deck lists. We've got Esper Blink, in the hands of Makoto Horiuchi versus Azorius Control, an archetype that's kind of had a resurgence here this weekend in the hands of Francisco Sanchez. Let's take a peek at Makoto's road here to the top 8, coming in as the 8th seed. So a bit of a tougher road here for Makoto. Day 1 doesn't look so pretty. Day 2 kind of turned it around with only 1 loss there, and then locked it up in round number 16 versus our overnight leader, Shuhei Nakamura, who missed out on our top 8. What, Corey?
Makoto played against Izzet Affinity 5 times. That is absurd.
Yeah, he did. Wow. Okay, so the hard way, certainly.
Love
there
it.
for Makoto Horiuchi. Up against Francisco Sanchez, better known as Paxi on Magic Online. Take a look here at his road to the top 8. Went 1-2 starting off the tournament in draft. Turned it around with an 8-1-1 record in Modern overall. Beat Blink in round number 15 in the hands of Hall of Famer Gabriel Nassif. So it can be done.
Yep.
There's a look at the players. Talk to me about this matchup, Corey.
Let's take a look at the Blink list here, because this is not your granddad's Blink list. This is a very, very innovative take here. So let's take a look at this one. This isn't going to be something that Francisco has really played against. We don't see Solitude anywhere. I think that's the biggest factor, and that is going to really come in handy up against Azorius Control. So we do see 4 Subtlety, and 4 Force of Negation. That is going to be huge up against the 8 Planeswalker list here of Francisco. So let's take a look at the Azorius Control list. Looking at this, we're trying to get Narset into play. We're trying to Daze Undoing and make it so only Francisco gets to draw cards here, and not for anybody else. I gotta say, with this new addition from this Esper Blink style of list, I would put the advantage to Makoto.
All right, so Esper Blink in the advantage seat. It's going to be close. Yeah. What does Control have to do to put things in their favor?
You know, I would say just stick a Teferi. You know, sticking one of these Planeswalkers is going to be the biggest deal. You know, even getting Narset into play would be excellent, shutting down any Quantum Riddler shenanigans. So the thing to look for, if you see a Planeswalker on the battlefield, it's going the way of Azorius Control so far.
All right, it's time to find our second finalist. I'm going to pass it on over to Riley and Cedric.
Thanks very much, Maria, and thank you, Cedric and Corey as well, for being here as we get stuck into our semi-final. We've just had the match set up for us by the desk team, Cedric, and we're ready to get underway here. Azorius Control versus this Esper Blink deck, as Corey sort of lined up, saying it's not the traditional list that we may have expected from this archetype, and one that may be better positioned as a result, with the 4 copies of Force of Negation, with the subtleties as well to combat opposing Planeswalkers. Solitude, a bit of a liability in this matchup, so Makoto Horiuchi will be very happy it's not in his list.
Yeah, weirdly, in a way, sort of pre-sideboarded for this matchup by not having any copies of Solitude, but actually having copies of Subtlety, which aren't at their best in this matchup, but they're good enough because they are much better than Solitude. So if you are rooting for Esper Blink, it is a unique build of the deck, as Corey and you have mentioned, and it is better in this particular matchup given this build of the strategy.
But Francisco Sanchez, he has been playing his heart out all weekend. He's done a really, really good job. Are we going to see an Isochron Scepter with an Orum's Chant on turn 2? Simple as that, Cedric. Simple as that.
Well, there are ways out of this. There are.
Okay. Do you want to tell us about what's on the
mind?
Yeah,
I can. Let me just think about this really quick. So outside of needing another whites, okay, well, that solves that problem. Okay, so Philia is going to enter the battlefield, trigger, upkeep, you don't get to attack. So you don't get to play a spell. So Teferi is the missing piece of the puzzle right now. No spell right now. Instant speed spell can be played on your turn. On Francisco's turn. Remind me, Philia, does it blink out an artifact?
It can blink out another non-land permanent.
Yeah. So that's one way to reset the scepter, though it cannot attack. So that was one of the avenues I was going to go down, which is the dog takes care of the scepter, but there is no attacking allowed here. So this is just going to be the gameplay for right now for Francisco Sanchez, which is just Scepter Chant you.
Was the Ophelia played in response to the Isochron Scepter?
So Francisco plays Scepter on... Francisco plays Scepter, Ophelia comes down at the end step.
Yeah.
Right, so no attack because the Scepter Chant plus kicker.
But Yes.
Philia has to attack, of course, to be able to remove it.
It's not Restoration Angel.
No, not at all.
It doesn't come as a. It's not as an into the battlefield thing. But then, because the Orange Chant was kicked, we're never actually going to. Well,
He's never going to. Yeah.
Assuming the Orange Chant gets kicked every turn.
It gets kicked every
It's going to kick every turn. We're actually never going to see the attack from the dog here.
Unless there ends up being a force negation which counters a chant. Because you can counter the spell that gets played off of the scepter.
Oh, true. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually, because you can still interact with it on the stack. It's just not done very often.
Correct.
So you can see Francisco lining up that 3 mana there. It's going to be tapped essentially every turn to keep on casting a kicked Auram's Chant. So Makoto in dire straits, but not completely dead in the water here.
So now there's a Prismatic Omen to take care of Philia, or at least try to. It's going to be a copy of Ephemerate in response. So the dog is still going to hang around. And this is a little bit interesting. Let's see what this is going to end up being, because it's sacrificing a fetch land right now as Francisco. This could just be a main phase sacrifice instead as opposed to doing it on your opponent's upkeep. Just main phase sacrifice right now, get an untapped land, and then kick Scepter, kick Chant off of Scepter again, and just keep putting your opponent in this lock until they find a way out of it with a Force of Negation.
All right. Well, Makoto got his work cut out for him. Doesn't get to play Magic here.
Remember, if Teferi ever ends up being on the battlefield, the game ends alongside
Scepter
Chant.
Almost
Now,
as if you knew it was going to happen here.
Now, there will be a response here. I think it's going to be a copy. One of those 4 copies of Subtlety will probably be played here to delay the inevitable. And I wouldn't be surprised, of course, if we see in response to the Subtlety, sacrifice the fetch land, get an untapped land out of your deck, and then put the Teferi back on top to make sure that's your draw step. So that's exactly what's going to happen here.
Yep. Yeah, because that Teferi at this stage, as you say, locks out the game. You are casting a kicked Auram's Chant in your opponent's upkeep, and with the Teferi, that means they can't respond.
Correct.
Because it's not during the main phase. Well, they can't respond at all because it's Teferi.
Yeah, because it's so fun.
Yeah.
Teferi says absolutely not. So there's a kicked Chant once again. And so now the ultimate test is, okay, I'm draw, play Teferi again.
Do you have a Force of Negation?
Yep. Do you have a Force Negation, or do you have another copy of Subtlety to, again, delay the inevitable?
Well, Makoto's doing something here.
This could also be, this is going to be a Shadowy Backstreet. For Surveil, you can Ephemerate the Subtlety.
There is an Ephemerate in hand. Yeah, okay. All right, surveilling here. But yeah, Ephemerate in hand, so there's at least another Teferi free turn here.
So it's not easy for Makoto to break out of this lock, but it is possible.
A lot of stuff has to go right here.
Yes.
Okay, well, thinking about it.
It looks like Makoto's thinking about keeping this card on top. We don't have a good look at it, but keeping it on top. Now there's Ephemerate on Subtlety. So once again, Teferi back on top, pass the turn back, Chant.
Drew another Subtlety.
Okay, sure. Just more delaying of the inevitable here.
So back to Francisco, untaps, draws a Teferi for the turn, and plays a Teferi for the turn, and there is another hard cast Subtlety. But we've still got that 3 mana to lock things up with the Auram's Chant.
All right,
Passes it back,
Stretch,
draws
right.
Teferi, plays it again. Is this one gonna land?
That'll do
And
it.
we're going to pack it up. So Makoto there swimming against the tide, and ultimately the tide a little too strong to stay afloat. So we see game number 1 going to Francisco Sánchez, the Spaniard, picking up a tidy little win with this lockout-knockout strategy. Isochron Scepter and Auram's Chant. What is it, 2004?
Yeah, 2004 extended, apparently. Again, this is why they play 1 copy of Isochron Scepter. Again, there are other cards that you can put onto the Scepter, like a counter spell, but this is meant to have an Auram's Chant underneath it as a way of go about winning the game. It's not the first time we've seen Sánchez do it, and if you're rooting for Makoto, you are hoping that it was the last.
Well, Corey characterized this matchup as a positive one for Makoto Horiuchi. He said that Planeswalkers would be key, and they proved to be there with Teferi locking up the game ultimately after that Isochron Scepter.
Yeah, that's the scary part from Sanchez's deck if you're a fan of Esper Blink. The Planeswalkers, especially on the play, are pretty scary to play against. Now, Makoto does have, just like early plays in the game that are relevant, and then free interaction. Free interaction, of course, being Force Negation, and Subtlety, early plays being Philia, and a card that we haven't seen yet but might be seeing now in Psychic Frog. cards that demand answers pretty quickly because they can run away with the game if they're not answered.
Okay, Overlord of the Balmerk is the play here for Makoto. Another card that we don't see in all of these Esper Blink decks, but it's certainly doing work in his. Mill 4.
Psychic Frog and Quantum Riddler are the options. Looks like it's going to be the Riddler that goes to the hand there for Horiuchi.
And the Frog goes to the bin in addition to what looks like a couple of lands and a Fatal Push. I'll be happy enough to see that Fatal Push in the bin. Remember, this is as it's a top 8 game, best of 5. We don't hit the sideboards until game number 3. So we're still playing pre-board here, Cedric. These players will get the opportunity to adjust their decks for up to 3 post-board games.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on how long the match goes, of course. But it definitely adds a different texture to the play.
It very much does.
Best of 5.
And I think this matchup, you can probably tell at home that we're playing this a little faster, the replay, just because I imagine this is going to go pretty long. There's no reason to believe, like, most games are not going to play out like, let's say, the first one with the Scepter Chant.
No, that's definitely that's an anomaly.
Well, I did just... Okay, I may have jinxed us.
Okay. Do we have the Scepter?
There's a Scepter. There is a Scepter.
Do we have the Orum's Chant?
Yeah, that's there too.
Okay.
I may have jinxed us.
Well, Francis can be very grateful for it,
Yeah,
Cedric.
may have jinxed us.
Yeah, you need to tap him for his finder's fee when he wins the Pro Tour.
That's my bad, Makoto. I apologize.
Oh dear, that's good.
It doesn't mean that we're going to see Scepter on this particular turn, because it could be a Teferi turn here. Teferi, the ultimate test spell on a battlefield like this, requires Makoto to have a copy of Subtlety or Force Negation.
And there is a Force Negation in hand here for Makoto.
And there's also a Nar set here for Francisco Sanchez too. So
he's going to play at the Teferi. That's going to demand an answer. Force of Negation, indeed. Pitching the Riddler that was picked up off of that Overlord previously. So, no. Teferi hits the Exile Zone thanks to the Force. And it's back to Makoto now to see what he wants to do with his turn 4. That's another Quantum Riddler.
Maybe alongside an Ephemerate, perhaps? Oh, it's going to be a Consign.
Okay.
So counter the Warp Trigger.
The Warp Trigger that would put it into the Exile Zone. So this is sort of a pseudo-Ephemerate. It's worse, obviously, because you don't draw another card, but it does mean you have a flying 4/6 sticking around, which is not bad. A good way to pressure the life total of the Azorius control player here. All right, consult the star charts. Let's have a look at what the stars have written for us here. 3 cards, because there are 3 lands. What a card this is. I know we've talked about this across the weekend, Cedric, but what a card.
A huge addition for these Azorius control strategies. Really nice and flexible.
The flexibility it offers, coming in at either 2 or 4 mana, giving you either 1 or 2 cards. In the late game, digging through the trash, finding exactly what you need when you're looking at the top 8 cards of your library or top 9. It's so good, man. All right, here's Isochron Scepter. This one's going to resolve in an Orum's Chant as well. So Makoto Horiuchi has 1 turn to put together a convincing battle plan against this Isochron Scepter before he can no longer continue to play spells. And, well, the Philia is a pretty good one.
Yeah, so Philia is going to come down on the upkeep there. Remember, Philia...
Oh, it was upkeep, sorry.
Yeah, so it was upkeep Philia because Quantum Riddler says whenever you draw a card, if you have 1 card, you'll draw an additional one. And so that includes in your draw step if you can satisfy that clause and draw 2 cards. So that's exactly what we saw there.
Oh, see, I missed that. I thought that was an end step Philia.
Yeah. So that's exactly why you see the upkeep copy of Philia there to ensure a couple of more cards there from the Riddler.
So the Philia can't attack. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if the Philia does attack against Isochron Scepter, it just blanks it, right?
Yep, it's just gonna blank the Scepter. It'll cause the Scepter to leave the battlefield, then the Scepter will come back on the battlefield, and then the imprint will go on the stack once again.
So you can put something else under it.
Correct.
If you have something else to do it. But if your hand, if your hand looks like Francisco's right now, I don't think it's going to be. I guess you could put. No, you can't even put Prismatic Ending under it. It's instance only.
Yep. And so what we saw there in that exchange was something that we talked about last game, which was, okay, the way to break out of a Scepter Chant is being able to attack with a Philia, but you need to actually be able to counter the chant that's placed in the stack from the Isochron Scepter. So we saw a Force Negation war that was lost there for Horiuchi. So the chant lock is still in place because Philia does not get to attack. So Sanchez was able to defend the Scepter once again, and we are seeing another game where Horiuchi is having difficulty breaking out of this lock. There's no Teferi yet, and we know what happens if that shows up.
Yes. The game ends, at least, based on previous experience. All right, back to Makoto Horiuchi here, who is continuing to play out his lands. Francisco Sanchez is just continuing the chant. It's another failure.
Yeah, so another copy of Ophelia here to just get your hand size down to 1 so that when you draw 2 cards with the Quantum Riddler. So smart play there.
Kind of cycling the failure there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, not doing anything anyway. So
I think that was a Teferi in hand.
I think there's one. They're just missing a 6th.
He's just waiting for a 6th land.
Yep. And we might see the shenanigans that we saw last game, which is, okay, subtlety or Teferi, put it on top, try to resolve it again. Subtlety again. Ephemery,
Yep.
you know, all the nonsense that we saw last game, we might end up seeing again this game. So,
But the bad news here for Makoto is that he needs a Force of Negation and is... Oh, well, he's playing 4. So 1 has been exiled.
correct.
I don't see any others in the bin. So he could hope... I mean, that's the best answer in this situation against the Teferi.
It is indeed.
Better than subtlety for sure. Needs an answer that's a little less subtle.
Okay.
And a consult.
Consult, yeah.
Consult the start chats. And this will find a land.
I would hope so.
This will find. This is going to find a land. Come on. Well,
Hard
it,
for it not.
it definitely did. There was an Arid Mesa there
Yeah.
amongst those cards. So if Francisco doesn't have a 6th land, he's only got himself to blame. That's what he finds. Yeah, that looks like a Guy Reach Sanitarium.
Yeah, I
that
think
was
that's
picked-
what I saw,
There
too.
it is. Yeah, picked up off of the Consult the Star Charts, and Makoto Horiuchi has seen enough. That is that. We're going to game number 3. Francisco Sanchez taking it out in straight sets. Isochron Scepter and Orum's Chan get the job done here.
You know, I didn't know we were going to see this in this weekend's event in the amount that we have. Again, it is giving me flashbacks of extended 04, 05, 06 era Magic, which is really, really cool to think about. But Isochron Scepter is back. I remember when that card was first previewed, players were really, really excited about the potential of that card and what it could do. And it is a really cool card from original Mirrodin imprint and everything that goes along with that, but it is back in 2025.
Cedric's getting flashbacks.
A little bit.
He's
Young
ready,
me.
He's
Young
re-
me.
He's ready to head to the cinema after this day's plays. Go and see Leonardo DiCaprio in The Aviator.
This is pretty crazy. And that combo then was quite good. It's clearly quite good now.
What, Leonardo DiCaprio in The Aviator?
No, not that combo. Not that one. The Scepter Chant combo is more what I'm thinking about here. But it was good back in 04 and 05. It is still good right now. So this is kind of a joy to watch if you're somewhat of a historian like I am. Historian's a really nice way of saying old.
Yeah, you're the historian.
Yep.
All right.
I'm the new age BDM, just old here in the booth. Brian, we love you.
Psychic Frog here. Psychic Frog for Makoto. You should start a podcast or something, like a history podcast.
Yeah, he's here.
I'd listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds good. There's a Solitude as well now. Psychic Frog hits the exile zone. Supreme Verdict has been exiled to pay for the Solitude.
Oh, there's already a chant in hand. Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Beware.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, beware.
Okay, Cedric, I've got the inside scoop here with the sideboard information, so feel free to...
Sharing is caring.
I'm going to read this out. Let me know while I'm doing that if there's something on the screen that requires my attention here as I turn to look at what's going on with Francisco Sanchez. Very, very light touch for him, Cedric. Very light touch indeed. Taken out 2 Force of Negation and a Spell Snare.
Okay.
And he's brought in 3 copies of Mystical Dispute.
Oh, yeah, sure. Blue matchup.
Really, really good. Yeah, okay. Horiuchi Makoto, also not too many cards, just 5. He's taken out 4 copies of, can you guess? Fatal Push.
Yep, no good here.
No good here.
No good.
Also consigned to memory, being consigned to the sideboard. And replacing them, Teferi Time Raveler, Emperor of Bones, Lavinia Azorius Renegade, and also 2 copies of Clarion Conqueror. This looks really good for Makoto. Those are all very, very good cards in this matchup.
I would say that Makoto's deck gets appreciably better
Yes.
after sideboard, where Francisco, who is already in, I think, a somewhat favorable matchup in game 1, pre-sideboard, things are going to improve a little bit now. Not so much, though, in the way that Makoto's deck does. So slightly behind probably in the sideboard games, but fortunately for Francisco, able to pick up the first 2 games.
Yeah, setting himself in good stead. He only needs to win 1 of the next 3. So even if the matchup has tilted towards our Japanese player here on Esper Blink, Francisco only has to steal one game from under his nose in order to head to the final.
Interesting little play pattern there we saw from Francisco, which was leading off the turn with an Orange Chant, which did resolve. That is a way to push through a spell, and the goal was to push through a Narset, and that worked very well. So Narset revealed another copy of Narset, and now Francisco has one of the problematic Planeswalkers on the battlefield.
And Narset is really a problem. You might look at it and think, oh, it's pretty innocuous, maybe draw a couple of cards, what have you, bit of card selection, fantastic. But the incidental card draw that is offered by a card like Quantum Riddler and Ephemerate, it adds up really fast and means that these decks are able to refuel their hands really effectively and efficiently. And Narset stands in the way of that. So Corey identified these Planeswalkers as key threats. Well, not necessarily threats, key cards. Oh boy, talking about key cards. Holy moly, this is going to demand an answer. This is Days Undoing with a Narset on the field. And it's going to eat one of the precious forces of negation here for Makoto.
Yeah, and I like going for it there because it's a really high upside play if it ends up breaking in your favor. Yes, Force Negation can undo that, but it is worth it to go for it and see if this does break my way. I'm very likely to win the game, even though there's Teferi on the battlefield. Fortunately here for Horiuchi, not only having the answer in Force Negation, but now also having a copy of Philia as well. The Philia combo alongside Overlord of the Bailmark is obviously very powerful because now the Overlord is on the battlefield. So now it's added a ton of power to the battlefield, and that Philia, took care of the copy of Narset that was on the battlefield. So that's a dynamic turn there for Makoto. Oh, another Chant to lead things off. Probably a Teferi as the follow-up would be my guess.
You've been listening to the Lumineers.
Maybe a touch.
A little bit?
Maybe a touch.
Because you keep saying.
Ophelia.
Oh, Ophelia.
I know.
She been on your mind, buddy?
Guilty.
Since when?
Personal question.
All right. Well, we'll move on here. Orum's Chant once again being used in a way that you don't often, well, not often see. It's not what its primary use case is in this deck, but it's
gross.
It's doing some work.
Is there a land? Oh my goodness. So Sánchez has a Supreme Verdict in hand, and so what we saw there was Chant. Okay, in response, cast Subtlety. Right, because I don't have an opportunity to play it at any other stage.
Yeah.
And then it could have just been land, okay, kill all your stuff. Nice Subtlety. You just played that for no reason. Is what could have happened.
Yeah.
That's not what did happen, but that's the thing that could have happened. That
would have been so,
really
imagine, it would have been
gross.
so cool though. Oh my goodness. All right, Teferi on the battlefield for both players here. So we are in full sorcery speed only mode for both of them.
At least for a moment.
No interruption.
Teferi's going to bite the dust here in just a sec.
No counterspells.
Yep.
All right, down goes Teferi on Francisco's side. Things looking a lot better for Makoto here.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been a lot of positive sequences here for Makoto, unlike the first two games, which Scepter Chant loomed over those games, of course. Again, you saw the Philia combination with Overlord. Teferi's on the battlefield. Teferi in a matchup of blue and white mana always plays a significant role in things, so Teferi is going to be dynamic on both sides of the battlefield. The positive here for Makoto is that Makoto actually has creatures that can attack Francisco's Teferis, so long as attacking is allowed, which of course Isochron Scepter plus Orum's Chant did not allow. So, as far as the Teferi War is concerned, I think that Makoto is better at managing opposing Teferis than Francisco Sánchez is. So if a Teferi sticks for Makoto, it's actually very problematic here for Francisco because there's just not a lot of answers.
So here's a subtlety, a solitude, excuse me. And that's going to eat a subtlety.
Yeah, that's
Hard cast, and that's actually going to eat up the game here. This is a great turnaround here for Makoto Horiuchi, who is on the board in semi-final number 2. Picks up a game win, sequencing things really nicely. A good balance of interaction, disruption, threats, planeswalkers, creatures, and just kind of ran over his opponent with just exceedingly strong card quality. Francisco starved of answers, not able to get a win together. Look at this hand. We've got Solitude, Subtlety, Teferi, double Orum's Chant, 2 lands.
This could be one of those games where Orum's Chant forces through a Teferi.
Yes.
So we'll see how the lands go here for Sánchez, because it's a Hollow Fountain and a Mystic Gate, and it doesn't look like there's any others.
Ooh,
so
yeah,
ideally, it's a whole, I'll play my 3rd land, potentially say go, play my 4th land, chant you. We'll see if that resolves. If it does, resolve Teferi. If you counter it with like a Force Negation, may still just cast Teferi anyway, right? So, but, step 1 to all of this is you're going to need some lands to work with.
And Supreme Verdict was the draw there for Francisco. Makoto's hand's really good as well. Subtlety, Emperor of Bones, Overlord, and a Teferi, let's not forget.
Yep.
which is a key card, as we've already talked about in this matchup. Here's Emperor of Bones. Relatively recent addition, again, coming along in Modern Horizons 3. You can see it on the screen. Whenever one or more counters are put on Emperor of Bones, put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control. It gains haste and sacrifice it, and you get to exile a creature with it every combat.
That's bad news for Francisco. No third land.
It's very bad news, actually.
Free spells in hand, yes, in Solitude and Subtlety, so that aspect of things is good news. But the expectation that Teferi is going to get countered here from Makoto. It can be counterspell, it can be a bevy of things, and all it is right now is a temporary answer.
Yeah, memory lapse here from the subtlety. Are you putting this back on top of the library?
I think so.
Yeah, he has he's got another land in hand, right?
It's better than a random draw.
Exactly. It's if you're starved on lands and you want to continue to hit your land drops, maybe you don't, but he's got a Flooded Strand in hand. I think it's a pretty safe bet to keep this card on top. And meanwhile, this game is slipping further and further away from Francisco Sánchez as he exiles the Emperor of Bones with a prismatic ending. Teferi the draw, Teferi the play.
Yeah, we could have a bit of a Teferi off here.
And there's no answer this time.
Yeah, so what we could end up seeing this turn is Teferi from Makoto, which would resolve.
Yep.
And then Francisco tries to play a Teferi if a third land is drawn. But actually, a little bit interesting, as no Teferi has been played here.
Finds a spell snare. This is devastating.
Oh.
This is not the way you want to lose the game. Francisco Sánchez, unfortunately, not finding the lands that he needs. And we might just see a subtlety hard cast here to put a clock on.
Yeah, which I like a lot.
Really?
You start, yeah.
Talk us through it.
You just start working yourself into the pressure plus disruption model. Right now, there's a 3-power creature on the battlefield. I can start going after your life total. You are not working with much mana, obviously, and so now I can start, attack with subtlety, play a spell. Attack with subtlety, play a spell. That sort of thing. And I like what's going on here.
So just as a fairy invaders, you're not looking to get value out of it necessarily all the time.
Don't need to.
Okay.
You can, but you don't need to. There's Thundering Falls.
I think a lot of players wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I would agree.
For what it's worth. I think a lot of players, I look at that and I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to cast my subtlety. I'll wait till I snipe something with it. But no, obviously, Makoto's a better player than me. He might be a better player than you.
Yep. I don't think there's a might.
I was trying to be nice to you, man.
Tough over Pro Tour.
I was trying to be nice to you. But here now, look, another subtlety comes down. And Francisco Sánchez.
Oh, okay, now Francisco starting to draw out of it a little bit.
Okay.
This could be a good time for that copy of Supreme Verdict, but there's a lot of different ways this game could be played. So looks like this is going to be Teferi. That's going to resolve. Bounce one of these, draw a card.
Subtlety, draw a card, yep. And finds another land as well.
Okay. So the Mana Screw is starting to undo itself a little bit. And there's protection for the Teferi with the Solitude exiling Orm's Chant. Yeah,
that's what we're going to say.
Gotta keep that Teferi on the battlefield.
And that really was why that play makes sense, is because you have a way to make sure you bounce one Solitude, Subtlety, and you exile the other one. Oh dear, but this is, well, it is bad news, but it's not that bad because really it's the static effect of Teferi that's the big problem. And the Clarion Conqueror, meaning that the Teferi can't tick up, but it's the static ability, sorcery speed only for your opponent that matters in this situation.
And this would be like a prime position to have another copy of Solitude. But I'm curious, as it looks like Meticulous Archive. So it's going to be a Meticulous Archive, Surveil, probably play copy of Narset.
I guess the other problem that the Clarion Conqueror presents to the Teferi is that it can just attack it.
Oh, yeah. No, the Clarion Conqueror is a nice thing to have right now because that also stops Narset from doing much of anything as well.
It's preventing the Teferi from being activated in many ways, not just its static ability, but also the fact that it attacks for 3.
Very much so. Very much so. We see a couple copies in the sideboard for players this weekend, between 1 to 2.
Okay, Narset comes down. No activation, of course, under the Clarion Conqueror. And this, I guess, is just setting up Francisco for a situation where he has a removal spell and then can immediately activate the Narset. But the Conqueror is certainly doing work here, dispatching this Teferi. Things not looking good for the Spaniard. Bit of a shake of the head. His hand is not great. Stern Scalding and Spell Snare.
Yeah, I think Francisco might be a little frustrated. I think Francisco might be a little frustrated.
2 blank pieces of cardboard in his hand now.
Yeah, I think Francisco might be a little frustrated because I think the thought process was I'll get a land. I'll get the Meticulous Archive, Surveil, put that card on top or bottom, whatever, and then play Narset and activate it. And this is just a guess, but given the body language, I think he may have forgotten that, like, oh, I can't activate my Narset because of the Conqueror.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we see a little bit. Yeah, this
a
is
little
the third. This is the third time I've seen him shake his head a little bit.
A rueful shake of the head.
Yep.
There, yeah. But honestly, like, there wasn't much else he could do.
No, not really.
Like, he's got a Stern Scalding and a Spell Snare. That doesn't really do anything. He like, I don't know, if he draws a removal spell there, it looks fantastic for him, right? Because he's got well, not fantastic. It looks a lot better. He's got a Narset that he can activate immediately once he gets rid of the Clarion Conqueror. But as it is, he just put Kahira in hand and is now playing Kahira because the other cards in his hand actually just do nothing with an opposing Teferi on the battlefield.
Yeah, Francisco is very stuck. Right now, very stuck.
So the Narset gained him like 9 life. So there is that, or 6 life, excuse me.
And you see, it looks like the Conqueror is going to go towards the Narset, and then the Overlord is going face. They're going to looks like they're confirming life totals right now. But this is a situation here, as they do confirm those life totals, that I think Makoto is very, very advantaged.
Heavily favored, I would say, from this point onwards, yeah. And it's come down to Teferi in both games. Teferi is just...
No surprise.
It's such a backbreaking card against a deck that is filled with counter magic and instant speed interaction.
And Makoto's hand is quite good with copies of Force Negation and Subtlety.
Oh my goodness, look at that hand.
Yeah, there's a lot to like right now for Makoto.
Subtleties, Quantum Riddlers, Forces of Negation, another Teferi backup. I think we can start to close the door on this one, Sid.
Yeah, I think Game 5 is going to be coming here in just a second.
I think so too, my friend. But we'll find out. It's not over till it's over.
Yeah, we've got a nice sampling of what this matchup can look like, too. We've seen Scepter Chant on one side. We have seen just really positive use of Teferi, and then Overlord of the Baelmark, on the other. So,
and we're going to concede.
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
there we go. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
A reset. Back to our marks. And we're heading to game number 5 here in semi-final number 2 at Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. Riley Knight joined by Cedric Phillips in the booth. It's our great pleasure to have you wherever you're watching around the world. Thanks for being with us. And this last deciding game between these two players will determine who is going to head into the final, who is going to meet Michael Debenetto Plummer on a Tameshi Belcher deck, waiting in the wings for an opponent here. Will it be Francisco Sanchez, who came out of the gates storming to a 2-0 lead, or will it be Makoto Horiuchi, who has rallied magnificently? Cedric pulled 2 wins out of the air with these post-sideboard games. One of these two is going to a Pro Tour final.
To play against Belcher. Play against old Belcher.
Oh, Belcherino.
That's right.
Cedric Phillips' favorite card.
That's a thing someone can say.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I've heard people say it.
Yeah.
I've heard people say it.
You know, people are saying this all the time.
People are saying that. Yeah. It wasn't like...
People are saying I love Belcher. Yes. That's what they're doing. Sports Illustrated says it.
Yep.
Yep.
You're read it in print.
Amazon says it.
They're not allowed to lie.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. A couple of surveil lands on both sides here.
Becky Lynch says it. Did you know that?
Who?
Becky Lynch.
Becky
Big
Lynch.
fan of me.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Huge fan.
Okay.
Always saying it.
I'll take your word for it, mate.
Trust me.
Yeah, I will. I do.
Twitch chat says it. It says I love Belcher.
Both these hands looking pretty good. Teferi, Time Raveler, Mystical Dispute, Supreme Verdict, Consult the Star Chart, Subtlety, and another land here for Francisco. On the other side of things, Consigned to Memory, Overlord, Teferi, and Double Felia. Key card on both sides, Teferi, of course. This has been what has made or broken this matchup.
I don't want to say it's the best card in the matchup, but it's really close.
So the best card in the matchup, according to Cedric Phillips.
It's just, yep, that's it. It just really dictates.
I read that in Sports Illustrated.
Yes, you did. They're always saying it. It really dictates the terms of engagement in a very meaningful way. That's what it does in this matchup.
Sánchez down to 17 as he goes fetching with that flooded strand. Finds the basic planes. And are we just running out the Teferi here with no real backup?
I mean, if it resolves, it's nuts.
Yep.
So
what we're going to see in response from Makoto is one of these Felias put into play, which Francis is going to just like immediately bounce. So there it is.
Yep, and this like looks a little silly, but the one thing that it does do is it forces Teferi to go down to 1 counter as opposed to going up to 5. So I understand why the play is being made.
Like, you might tick it down even if they don't play it, right? Because just when you want to cash it in for a card.
Potentially, yeah.
But what it does is it removes that choice from
Correct.
the opponent, right? It doesn't give them an option. You're forcing them to make a certain play, and that's generally a better position. All right, we've got a Teferi on the other side of things as well, but there's a subtlety ready and waiting from Francisco Sanchez. Exiles the Supreme Verdict. That seems to be what Supreme Verdict is doing in this matchup, just being exiled to the various evoke creatures here. And now, Makoto Horiuchi is deciding what to do. Puts it on the bottom, Cedric.
Okay.
Puts the Teferi on the bottom. So things looking a lot better for Francisco now. He's got an essentially uncontested Teferi of his own.
Yeah, just missing the Icecrown Scepter plus Orange Chat now, which we have seen.
Yeah, I think he's had quite enough of that. Had quite enough of that. But no, his hand looks pretty good as well. He's got a Narset.
boy.
And he can play another land as well, I believe, in order to keep Mystical Dispute up.
And remember, this is exactly what Corey was talking about at the beginning of the match.
Yep.
At the news desk, which is if the Planeswalkers are on the battlefield here for Francisco, life is pretty good, and they're both out now.
I really, really appreciate it when players play in a way that makes us look very smart. It's very good of them.
And that's what they try to do.
And they try to do that.
It's about us.
It is.
It's definitely about us.
At the end of the day, it is about us.
I agree.
And it's very... There are some players, some bad actors, right, who don't do that. Who don't devote their play at the Pro Tour to making us look like geniuses.
That's why they're not in the feature, man.
And that's why they're not being featured.
That's right.
That's right. But no, quite seriously, Francisco Sanchez sitting pretty here with 2 active Planeswalkers. Makoto sitting with 3 lands and not a lot else. Clarion Conqueror certainly not bad in this situation, as in it's going to shut down both of these Planeswalkers being activated, but they still have very, very powerful static abilities. Now, the reason Clarion Conqueror is really good here is that it is a white card, and therefore can't be countered by the Mystical Dispute that Francisco was holding up to defend his Planeswalkers.
It also very quickly kills the Planeswalkers on the battlefield, right? It's a 3-power creature that can take out Narset and Teferi in one hit. Now, of course, the question is, if we get around to this, which is what creature does it actually want to take out? Or excuse me, what Planeswalker does it actually want to take out? Again, if we get around to it.
Well, if it gets to attack as well.
That's what I mean.
We've got to consult the star charts. We've got a stock up.
Probably. I was going to say you probably start with stock up, but that's not a lock because there's a world where you just want to start with consult the star charts, but it's going to be stock up.
The thing is, you play the stock up, you play the consult the star charts, you look at 10 cards.
You do.
And you need 1 Solitude.
Ooh, okay, this is interesting.
What have we found?
Among those 5 cards is Orm's Chant and Day's Undoing.
Okay.
There's also a Supreme Verdict in there. And so the Orm's Chant is interesting because you can chant with Kick.
Yep.
To stop the Clarion, to stop everything, obviously, right? And then you can Days Undoing the following turn. But it looks like it's going to be Prismatic Ending that's going to go.
Okay. You can just exile it next turn. So you chant Kick this turn, and then you exile it next turn.
So long as, there are the 3 different colors of mana because of the Thundering Fall.
Yep.
So so Prismatic Ending is a solution to the problem, and then you still have Consult to kick and Mystical Dispute to defend. So looking pretty good right now is Francisco. Chant with Kicker is just so foul.
He just calls it as he sees it.
It's just really rude.
Cedric, no filter Phillips.
Yeah, it's just, I have to, you draw your card and you get to say go, right? Because I have to ferry, you don't get to do anything.
Back to me, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. All right, here's a 6th land, and now there is the Prismatic Ending for 3. And now Narset gets to be activated. We find another Mystical Dispute. This game is slowly but surely getting locked up by the Spaniard here, who is in a much, much better position than he was in games number 3 and 4. 2 Planeswalkers on the battlefield, ready to rumble. Game well and truly under his control.
Dispute's really good in this spot, not just against blue spells, which that part's obvious, right? But just like a expensive mana leak on a player that has 4 mana and has to play in their main phase because a Teferi means that Mystical Dispute is still plenty fine right now as an expensive mana leak. End of turn, huh? That's am I crazy? Oh, this is main phase. Sorry.
Yeah, main phase.
I was like, yeah.
No,
there's not going to be any end of turn anything.
He passed.
Because it's a Teferi. Okay. And now there's a dispute.
There's a Mystical Dispute. And this is the point that you were saying. It's just a bad mana leak.
Yes.
Sometimes it's enough.
cash it in.
Wow.
Maybe there's another Teferi in hand. That would be my guess.
And you're confident you can defend it because
guess.
you've got a mystical dispute in hand.
Yeah.
You're confident you're going to be able to get around something like a solitude or a force, indeed. Force negation here. Mystical dispute. No, says Francisco. That would not have been the play had he not had that counterspell ready to go.
Yep.
Your opponent being tapped out is no guarantee anymore in Modern.
You hear about this Teferi card? You seen this thing?
It's pretty good.
You seen this thing?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good card.
Send with this, head with this.
Pretty good card.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Ophelia comes down, and here's a consult the star charts. We're looking at the top 6, Cedric. Man, this card's good.
Deck is good.
Player's good.
True.
Tournament's good.
There's a Scepter.
Oh.
And Chance,
And
plural.
multiple
But
Chance.
can only take one
Take
card.
one of them wasn't kicked. All right, so you take here. You take a Chant or you take the Scepter?
Well, I think Chance better than the Scepter. But I didn't see the rest of the cards. I think it may have been Counterspell, may have been the selection. Because right now, I think Francisco is just in the grind you into dust
Yeah.
stage of things. You have to play in your main phase. None of this is favorable. I can counter your next couple of spells. I can kick councils. See, counter this, which turns Scalding. What's next? Do I even care about that? Maybe. This might be a kick council the star charts first.
Yep.
See what I find amongst the 7 cards.
Decide how much I care about the 2-2.
Correct. And with a counter spell already at the ready.
Yep. Things looking very good here. Very, very good for Francisco Sanchez. Makoto has played his guts out. He's done such a good job pulling back this match. He was down 0-2 at the end of the non-pre-sideboard games, and now at 2-2 on the precipice. As Francisco Sanchez goes from strength to strength, picks up a prismatic ending and another counterspell. Cedric, bad news.
Yeah, I think you let the failure resolve because prismatic ending is the solve.
It's a much better answer to it than the counterspell can be used in a much more diverse array of situations here.
And failure is just not doing much of anything to begin with, so it's fine to let that live.
Yep, and also San Francisco doesn't need to cast the prismatic ending at sorcery speed with the Teferi out.
Yeah, with the Teferi out, you can cast them whenever.
Yep. Overlord of the Baelmerk.
That's not resolving.
Counterspell number 1.
That's dead.
And the prismatic ending.
This is what you like, right?
I love this. Because Francisco is having all the fun.
Yeah, this is
Makoto is having none of the fun.
It's
a zero-sum game. Fun. We all know that. Here's another Teferi, another Narset, I should say. Let's have a look at the top 4. Find something else.
I will say this is kind of attractive when it's working correctly.
It's a day's undoing.
It sure
a
is.
big grin on Cedric's face.
Yep.
He's having a great time. Francisco Sanchez is having a great time. This game is very close to being over here because we're going to see in the draw step a flashed-in Days Undoing with a Narset on the battlefield. Shuffle your hand in your library and your graveyard and your prospects of heading to the Pro Tour final here. Makoto Horiuchi bows out and Francisco Sanchez wins the match 3-2 in style, Cedric. What a win for this match.
We saw a lot of what Blue-White Control can do in this matchup. Teferi, clearly a very powerful card in the matchup. Narset as well, but it's the cards that complement those that make this deck so very powerful. Supreme Verdicts, Orange Chant with Isochron Scepter, and then Days Undoing to head to the finals. I didn't think that we could see a control strategy like this work for this particular tournament. I've clearly been proven wrong, and for now, Azorius Control has to get through one more deck in Belcher, but that can be really tough because the Belcher deck has a lot of counterspells of its own.
Yep, well, we will see. The Belcher deck waiting in the wings here. Michael will be raring to go in our final, but right now we're going to head down to the feature match area for a quick interview with the winner here, so I'll pass it off to Ailey.
Francisco Sanchez has just locked up his final spot here at Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. Tell me about that matchup. How did that go for you?
It was a bit worse than I expected because he had like special technology. It wasn't a regular Esper Blink. He was playing a lot of subtleties instead of solitudes, which is a bit more awkward for me. And I started winning game 1 and 2 with the Chant and the Scepter. The old-fashioned way.
Yep, good old lockout.
And I was feeling like really good about it. Then I lost 3rd and 4th, and I'm suddenly looking into the 5th game of the match. But I was in the play, and he moved to 6. He stumbled a bit, and I could like take on the game with the Planeswalkers.
I was watching the end of the match there, and you were just like a cobra ready to strike. You had Days Undoing up before he even took his draw step there. So absolutely locked him out. Now, I need to ask you about your finals opponent. Because in Modern, the only loss you have taken is to your finals opponent, which is Michael. So, how are you feeling going into that?
I'm feeling like I want a rematch.
Yep. Well, you're getting it.
Yeah. I have the tools to beat him. So let's see how it plays.
Is there anything from the previous match with him that you can bring into the finals? Anything you learned?
It's a very straightforward matchup. Belcher is a very of the top metagame decks, so I already tested a lot against it. I don't know, play more tight. What can I
Well,
say?
you told me earlier that Control has no bad matchups, so I wish you all the best. And who knows, maybe you'll be hoisting that trophy over there very, very soon. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, well, good to hear some thoughts from our second Pro Tour finalist. But that's it for us, Cedric.
Yes, indeed.
We're done. We're going to pass it over to Marshall and Paul in a minute to take us through the final. On a personal note, I want to say thank you to you, mate. You've been a fantastic booth partner all weekend, so thanks very much for being with me. Your wisdom, your perspective, your advice, your incredible ability to navigate the treacherous waters of this game. Been a pleasure, mate.
What a guy. Nicest he's ever been to me.
Anything you want to say?
No.
No? Cool. All right. Well, thanks very much also to the people.
Riley, you're the best. I appreciate you.
Thanks to everyone who has helped this broadcast come together. Rich, Stuart, Jeff, everyone else. It's been a joy. But we're going to make
they're the ones that make us look so good.
That's it, man.
Christy? Christy, our makeup person.
That's
Can you
it.
believe it?
That's so.
We have a makeup person.
We owe them so much, my friends. But right now, we're going to get out of your hair. We're going to get out of here. We're going to head it back to the desk after this quick break. Thanks for being with us, my friends. Stay with us. The Pro Tour final at Edge of Eternities is coming up.